Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we are going to take a look at one of the flashier side characters in Kaiju number 8, namely Bako. I think his or her, possibly its, name is Bako. After all, Bako might just be a command that is the equivalent to the shepherd's to me for a border collie, but on the whole, I think that Bako is a name, and I'm pretty sure Bako is a male. It's hard to tell, you see, because as is standard in all comics media, all the letters are capitalized when the character says it, so it reminds me of my freshman year biology professor, to whom you owe the majority of my scientific rambles, including this one. He wrote all his notes in capitals and then used lowercase in place of italics. He was a mutant, too, did shocking tricks with his skin in class on the days he discussed mutations, and then he had to quit teaching when he accidentally grew a bone in his gut. Said his proudest memory was making a hardened nurse retch when he was 11. Anyway, there will be spoilers for the latest chapter of Kaiju number 8 as we go, so here's your chance to remove your hands from your boxing gloves, wipe down the sweat that is collected on them from your vigorous cardio workout, and click away. While you are unlacing, you can think about the following link below the video to get yourself a copy of Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, as a reward for all that hard work. Take a moment to laugh at the absurdity that is the human race. And remember, the audiobook is coming along nicely and will be available... Well, it will be available when it's done. Now, you have been warned of the spoilers. Let's dig in. Mina's giant stripy cat friend follows her into battle, presumably named Bako. Sex unknown, exact species unknown. What is with this? First, Bako is a great example of the kind of world building that Kaiju number 8 uses. Except for a few critical items in the first chapters, there are really no narrative info dumps. No box pops us telling us how this world works. The information either shows up naturally in the story or is explained in natural conversation by one character to another. When Bako first appeared, I was not even sure he was real in universe. A lot of manga choose to illustrate the specific aura of their hero by having a massive shadowy animal form looming over them in the background. I honestly thought that this was what Bako was. I even took to the internet to discuss this matter with my peers. One pointed out that Mina was seen riding the tiger, but I still wasn't sure that counted as proof of Bako's existence because the imagery of a lady riding the tiger is highly metaphorical and might again have been symbolic of the power that Mina possessed. Furthermore, there is a very important concept to take into account here. The audience generally allows the author one great leap away from reality, but then demands that the author stick strictly to the rules of the established world. This leads to things like the famous incident where Gary Larson, an infamous American cartoonist, could get away with drawing mosquitoes that lived in a suburban home, wore clothes, and talked, but when he suggested that the male was the one drinking blood, his fans objected. Loudly. He had stepped beyond that one great leap he had taken. Now, the one great leap that Kaiju number 8 has taken was introducing Kaiju into an otherwise perfectly normal ecosystem. Aside from the fact that the Kaiju, even giant-sized Kaiju, exist, this world follows strict scientific rules and makes a point of it. From finding human remains in the guts of a Kaiju as a natural result of the Kaiju eating humans, to Kaiju number 8 himself having to put down tripods of legs to brace his punches and still leaving a divot in the asphalt from the Newtonian force of his punches, this manga sticks to science. Bako is both further proof of that in this episode, and he felt like a massive glaring exception before this episode. So this episode was quite the turning point, or rather this chapter, because there are huge issues with bringing any tiger into a battlefield. And Bako was more than just a tiger. He was huge, massive, far too big to even be a Siberian tiger, the largest extant subspecies of tiger. Tame tigers have never been used as war beasts for many good reasons. While domestic cats have been used in war, a domestic cat is far more like a lion than a tiger. They live in colonies in the wild and have a genetically ingrained concept of family that humans can co-opt to use to train them to follow orders to some extent. It's not as strong, say, as a dog or a horse or even a pigeon's need to be part of the pack, herd, or flock, but house cats and lions can and do hunt together. Tigers, however, are entirely solitary creatures. They have no concept of us, there's only me. They cannot be trained to act independently towards a common goal like a cat or a dog can. But now let's take a step back. Bako works side by side with Mina. Kafka wants to work side by side with Mina. Kafka is now a kaiju manipulated hybrid who can work towards that goal thanks to his hybrid nature added to his innate tendencies. I think this is a highly metaphoric and emblematic of the relationship between Baka and Mina, or rather the relationship between Bako and Mina is symbolic of the relationship that Kafka wants with her. You see, a tiger would unequivocally make a bad domestic animal, let alone a war beast. In order to be a beast of war, an animal must have the genetic prerequisites of being able to work with a family group towards a common goal. A tiger simply does not have that, and besides, tigers don't get that big. But Ligers do. You heard me right. Break out the Napoleon Dynamite DVD. Like he said, Ligers. While they are not actually magic creatures, they are darn near close and probably the closest things we'll ever get in the real world. A liger is a hybrid, a tiger mother and a lion father. Starting to sound familiar? The two parent species are in the same genus like horses and donkeys and can produce offspring. Unlike mules, however, and many cat hybrids, ligers are fertile and can produce healthy offspring with a lion, a tiger, or another liger. While not perfectly genetically healthy, ligers can and do live longer lives than either lions or tigers and are often fairly healthy. The two main important factors for Bako are that 1, ligers lack the genes that tell them to stop growing when they reach adulthood, so they get huge by big cat standards. In fact, the average size for a Siberian liger is about Bako size. And 2, the lion genes potentially give the liger the genetic capacity to hunt together with others, to work towards a common goal, like a dog or a horse or a pigeon. Now, it is very doubtful that a liger would have the bone and joint health to move quickly enough to be at Mina's side when needed, or to continuously take the pounding that bracing against the recoil of her massive guns would inflict on its ribs. But then we get back to that one giant leap of the introduction of the kaiju as a natural part of the world. We know that the defense force can manipulate normal earth tissue to make it stronger and heal faster. We know that this is a 5 minutes in the future setup, and you don't need that many generations to breed a domestic line of a pack or pride-based intelligence, and that as the kaiju have been in at least East Asia for the past 400 years, there's been plenty of time to breed up a domestic line of ligers. So here we have a logical explanation of how Bako exists. In a world that is experiencing small-sized kaiju attack for centuries, and we know that kaiju were smaller in the past from Vice Captain Hoshina's story arc, it makes sense that you would need more than a guard dog. Breeding a domestic strain of liger capable of defending its human pride from smaller kaiju could be a logical result of that. Modifying a war liger to keep its joints healthy after taking a beating only makes sense. In real life, we have entire departments of the military dedicated to making sure our war dogs have happy, healthy joints. Now, all we need is a why. We have our how. And this chapter gives us a why in spades. Mina needs Vice Captain Hoshina to line up kills for her because her massive cannon of a weapon is unwieldy and difficult to reposition. She can't just re-aim it on the fly. Even with the Kaiju skin suit, it's hard to maneuver. But it is supposed to be a mobile weapon. She has to be able to move and reposition herself. She can't carry a tripod with her, let alone the full trailer artillery support it should have. She needs something to brace her back against when dealing with the recoil of the weapon. A liger with healthy joints provides just that. It is fast enough to reposition with her, it is massive enough to counter recoil with only its body weight, and it is strong enough to hold its position. Added to that, its natural cat senses are probably excellent at detecting smaller, more subtle kaiju threats that Mina is vulnerable to. So far, there's only one thing that I have not seen that I want to see in Bako. Most ligers develop this cute belly pooch by the time they are Bako size. Look it up. It is adorable, but the series got rid of Kafka's pooch pretty quick, so for the most part they are probably going to avoid giving a pooch to Bako. He is a war beast after all. And Bako, if that is what her name is and not just the command to me. Now, go check out the links below for a copy of Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, a book of human absurdity available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google Books, and Kobo. If you want an author-signed copy, just email me at the address on my website, and I will call and I will mail you one. Peace out, my wonderful viewers.
The book from author Betty Adams, Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, is a humorous look at human behavior through the eyes of aliens. This book is arranged in separate reports or essays, documenting the experiences with humanity through the lens of the aliens who have to interact with them. This anthology of short stories and vignettes from alien points of view highlights some of humanity's quirks we can all relate to. Author Betty Adams captures how strange and interesting humans can really be. This is a fun collection of stories you will really get a kick out of. Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, from author Betty Adams. Order your copy right now on Amazon.